There are beatdowns, and then there's whatever Carolina just did to Virginia Tech. Holy goodness.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. What's up? Welcome into this Locked On Tar Heels live postcast edition coming out of Carolina's absolute obliteration of the Virginia Tech Hokies on the road on Tuesday night. It's the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You guys, I'm like laughing. I'm almost giddy right now at how insane that was. Special shout out to all the everydayers joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course our great insiders as well. Coming up on this live reaction show edition, here's what we'll do. We'll unpack big picture stuff, nitty gritty stuff, all sorts of things. We'll get to your comments and questions and everything else over in the live chat. So if you're hopping in, make sure you drop stuff in there. Even if I don't get to it, I look at it all after the show and I bring stuff into tomorrow's show as well. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and mention now on tomorrow's show, Matt Norlander from CBS Sports, we have a bonus episode where we're looking at all the GM reporting he's been doing for Carolina lately. And then I'll go ahead and tease it now. On Thursday, Joe Tipton from On3 Sports is joining me to talk about his article from the other day where an anonymous ACC coach said that it's the least talented Carolina team he's ever seen. I bring that up right now because I hope that coach was watching this basketball game. Tell me about some talent, my friend. All right, there we go. Carolina wins 91-59. I said they win. That is. They just put Virginia Tech in the grave is what just happened. My prediction for this game was 75-65. Carolina blows past that, but also holds Virginia Tech to less than that. The Tar Heels record now climbs to 20-11, 13-6 in ACC play, with one game left to go in the regular season and then the ACC tournament. Carolina has jumped to 37th at KenPom. That's why you got to win big. It's not just about winning at Virginia Tech. It's about going up there and shutting their water off, which is what the Tar Heels did. Consequently, for the sixth game in a row, this is not a therapy session, my friends. This is an absolute party. You guys, let me put my hand up and say how wrong I was. On today's episode of Locked On Tar Heels, I said, Carolina's going to win. I think they're going to win by double digits again, but that 80-point streak is going to end. It did not end. Carolina has now 6 straight wins. In every one of them, they've gotten to 80 or more points, including 90 or more in the last 3 games. They've won the last 5 of those by double digits. The only one they didn't win by double digits was the game at Syracuse, but they've done it on the road, they've done it at home, and they've done it convincingly. It was Carolina got a nice start in this game. There was a sleepy stretch through a part of the first half, but then they just poured it on. Down the stretch of the first half. We'll get to that in a minute. And boy, given the stakes, given the potential for this to be a trap game looking ahead to Duke, given everything, is this the most impressive performance of the season for the Tar Heels? I mean, they've done it. They have strung together these 6 games to make this Duke game on Saturday matter. Because now they have just avoided the bad losses, aside from the Stanford one. But in this stretch, they've avoided the bad losses and put themselves in position for that game to be a big thing. And here's what else I think it's done. By not losing any of these 6, I think Carolina has afforded themselves to even lose. And maybe if they're able to play SMU in the ACC tournament, which would be great because that would be a quad 1 game, they can maybe get that win and that might be enough, friends. I don't know. But that's where I'm sitting right now. I was so glad to be wrong. And Carolina inflicts on Virginia Tech their largest deficit of the entire season. The Tar Heels were up at one point in this game, 36 points. What? Yes, 36 points. Here's how much of a thumping it was. James Brown and Cade Tyson were in the game out of the under 8 timeout of the second half. RJ Davis didn't even play for like the final 10 minutes of the game. It was well in hand and it was well controlled. I haven't looked at the minutes, but I'm guessing one, if anybody played 30 or more minutes. Yes, Ven-Allen Lubin played the most minutes of any Tar Heel in this game, 31 minutes, and the most anybody else played was Ian Jackson's 26. We'll get to Ian Jackson here in just a little bit. Oh, believe you me, what a game for that young man it was. My goodness. So yes, Carolina, again, an absolute drubbing on Virginia Tech. I don't know where else we can start in this game but the three-point shot. What the Tar Heels have done from beyond the arc in this, I mean, it's crazy to me how many different statistical categories in this 6-game stretch have just blown up from what they were. And I mean that in a good way, not blown up like, oh crap, we're screwed. I mean, the three-point shooting is insane, and this might have been the game that took the cake. The Tar Heels make a season-high 15 threes, one off tying the most they've ever made in the Hubert Davis era. They shoot 15 of 28 in this game. That's 53.6%. Coming into this game in the winning streak, they were 50 of 108. They are now 65 of 136 from beyond the arc in their 6-game winning streak, 47.8% in that stretch. And what I love, man, is it continues to come from all over the place. We talked about how in the winning streak, it's not just, RJ or Ian getting hot by themselves, but at least 4 different players have made a 3 in every game of this streak. Well, this is a new high for the streak. 7 different Tar Heels made a 3 in this game. Drake Powell, RJ Davis, Seth Trimble, Ian Jackson, Jalen Washington, Jalen Withers, and Cade Tyson. I need to go back and look, and I'll have this on Wednesday's full show, if this is the most different players that have hit a 3 in a game for Carolina this season. But my goodness, you all, it is something to behold what Carolina is doing from beyond the arc right now. It is absolutely batty. They continue to do it in the first half. They've had at least 5 made 3s in the first half of every game in this stretch. So they're starting hot, getting out to that, and then doing it. And so that's really encouraging. Now, not only was there balance from beyond the arc, but yet again, the Tar Heels were balanced in totality with their scoring. Let me look at it because in the previous 2 games, Carolina had 6 different players in double figures in each of them. Didn't quite get there in this game, but there were 5 players, 5 different Tar Heels in double figures, led by Ian Jackson's 19, Seth Trimble's 17. So yes, your 2 leading scorers were bench players in this game. RJ Davis with 15, Drake Powell with 13. That dude's coming on, by the way. And Ven-Allen Lubin with 10. So Carolina, man, absolutely spreading the love around. This offense is clicking at such a high level because not only was it beyond the arc, Carolina for the game shot 58.9%. We had been talking about getting back to what they had been doing from the free throw line. Carolina, this was the first game in this 6-game stretch, 6-game winning streak, where they didn't attempt 20 or more free throws. Part of that is when you're knocking down that many threes, you're just not attacking. You're not getting to the rim as much. In this game, I'm A-okay with that. But here's what Carolina did do that I had asked them to do in this game. They got the percentage of made free throws back up. They were 10 of 12 from the line, which is 83.3%. That's exactly what they needed to do in this game. Really, really proud of that effort. You guys, the North Carolina Tar Heels offense is on one right now. I haven't checked Torvik yet, but in the first 5 games of this winning streak, Carolina was operating as the 4th most efficient offense in the nation. That is not going down after this game. I will tell you that. So I'll have that on Wednesday show. I'm going to go look at that stat and have it ready for us. It's so insane. We've talked about that Carolina has been at 1.3 or above in points per possession in every game of this stretch. Let's see if they did it again. Yes, 1.379 for this game, which included 1.50 for the second half. But here's what might actually be more important that Carolina did in this game, despite how great the offense was. The defense has not been as good lately. It was better in 2 of the last 3 games, holding the opponent to just over 1 point per possession. But the last time Carolina held an opponent under 1 point per possession, you got to go all the way back to the Wake Forest game. Oh my gosh, if these Tar Heels were playing the way they are now against Wake Forest and at home against Stanford, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the bubble, which we're not right now. But anyway, that just, oh my goodness. Anyway, Carolina holds Virginia Tech to 0.881 points per possession. Let me see the last time Carolina held an opponent lower than that. You got to go all the way back to the Cal game, 0.757. And this might be, yes, it is. Where's Georgia Tech? This was 0.878, the third lowest points per possession for any of Carolina's opponents in the ACC slate. That's exactly what you got to do in a game like this, man. And it's so good. Getting back to the offense really quick. The offense is so spurtable right now. And I that's probably not a word, but just their ability to go on runs. They had kill shots in both halves of this game. A kill shot we define as a 10-0 run or greater. In the first half, the Tar Heels went on a 13-0 run. In the second half, they went on a 15-0 run. Just putting this game completely out of reach where the Hokies could do absolutely nothing. That run in the first half extended out. Virginia Tech made one free throw. It went into the second half, and Carolina had an extended run of 19-1. It's so good. And yes, I hear you screaming. The Tar Heels are playing overmatched opponents, sure, but I'm going to continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. They went to overtime at home against Boston College earlier this season. So you can't look at this and tell me this Tar Heels team and this offense does not pass the eye test. It absolutely does. And this is a new basketball team. Will it be enough for Duke Saturday? I don't know. But they're going to put up a better fight. I believe you me, and I can tell you that. Duke wants to come out and shut off the three-point line. Fine. Let's burn them. Let's get to the rim, get Malawach in foul trouble, whatever. I'm just so fired up right now, man, with all this stuff. All right. Plenty more to get to. I said we're going to talk about Ian Jackson. We got to talk about Ven-Allen Lubin. We got to talk about killer instinct, Carolina pouring it on, bench points dominance, and so much more. Also, that weird interaction between Jalen Withers and Hubert Davis. What was that all about? We'll talk about it all and more coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about our friends at Supply House. Y'all get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. You need help with an order? Great news. Supply House offers expert leading service, so you'll always get to talk to a real person. I love that. I hate talking to the robots, man. It drives me crazy. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, they got a free TradeMaster program that offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Okay, gang, we pick right back up. I've got the box score pulled up for those of you watching with us in real time on YouTube. If you're listening back to this, go pull up the box score wherever you are. I want to talk about Carolina pouring it on in this game because that's one of the things we had seen in the version of the Tar Heels that were prior to this 6-game winning streak. Carolina led at the half by 17, 46-29, part of that first big run they went on. It was like, all right, that's pretty good on the road, right? You like a 15 to 20 point spread. Carolina was favored by 7.5 in this one. It's like, yeah, that's pretty nice. That's what I'm looking for. But I love that this team was not content. They outscored Virginia Tech in the second half by almost as much as they did in the first half, by 15 points. And it started from the very beginning of the second half. Elliot Cadeau got a steal, went and hit a layup, man. That's exactly what you needed to do. Because the second you let down your guard, you're in a hole. This team has to live on energy and things of that nature. And I thought they really showed that in this game. We're starting to see some more killer instinct. Let's talk about some of the individual players and what they did. Ven-Allen Lubin. It's funny because after the game on Saturday against Miami, I had mistakenly looked at one of the other lines and thought Ven-Allen Lubin had his first career Carolina double-double. It was actually Jalen Withers. But oddly enough, in this game, he gets his first Carolina double-double, and he got that 10th point in style, a nice transition lob from Elliot Cadeau to Ven-Allen for the dunk. He also had the first points of the game for Carolina. It's that scripted lob play that Carolina has run out of halftime quite a few times. They started the game with it. Wasn't an alley-oop. I mean, it was an alley-oop, but Ven-Allen didn't get the dunk on it, but went right back up 2 points, and Carolina took the early lead. Great stuff there. This is Ven-Allen's first double-digit rebounding game as a Tar Heel, 11 boards, 3 of them offensive. But it was great. He also had 2 assists. He had a steal, continues his efficient shooting. It was 9 of 10 on Saturday from the field, 5 of 6 in this game. You know, we were talking about how his season average is 70%. 5 out of 6 might actually bring that down. What is 5 out of 6? I don't even know. I'm not good at math in real time. 83.3%. So it actually goes up a little bit. Ven-Allen Lubin, man, he is figuring stuff out. He knows his role, and the guys know what role to have him in. Let's talk about Ian Jackson, the leading scorer in this game. 6 of 10 from the field, 5 of 8 from three-point range. It's just one of those, when it went up, it was like, yeah, that's dropping. So Carolina had 15 threes. He had exactly a third of them, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, did have 2 turnovers, and a steal in 26 minutes, was plus 21. But you guys, one of the things that continues to impress me is his freshman teammate, Drake Powell. He just affects winning in a massive way. And in this game, 13 points on 3 of 4 from 3, 4 of 6 on field goals, 2 of 2 free throws, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, y'all. He continues to do all of that, and a block in 31 minutes played. As I said, I think earlier I said Ven-Allen had the most minutes played. It was actually Drake Powell. I was looking at the lines wrong there. It was Drake Powell. Drake Powell and Seth Trimble, by the way, tie for the team lead with a plus 30 in plus minus. Really, really good stuff. And so the other player I want to mention, aside from RJ just continuing to do what RJ does, is Elliot Cadeau. I was worried about Elliot in this game because he did that thing where he has 3 turnovers, which he's done in like 11 of the last 12 games. Maybe it's 10 of the last 11. I don't have it off the top of my head. And he had those 2 first half fouls. They came within short succession of one another. And I was like, oh man, it's going to be one of those Elliot Cadeau games. He goes out, and that's when Carolina basically went on their run. But props to Elliot, man. Only had 2 points in this game. It was the first 2 points of the second half I talked about earlier. No rebounds, 1 steal, 3 turnovers. But here's what he did. 12 assists for Elliot Cadeau. Now, a lot of that is dudes hitting shots, right? It's not just about you. But if Elliot Cadeau can be that playmaker, yes, he had 3 turnovers, but that's a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio when you're getting that many assists. That's what Carolina needs from him. Now, there's conversation to be had, and we'll do this on Wednesday about what sort of different ways it affects Carolina when RJ is running the point. And I think there's something big and important to that, but really good for Elliot to have this kind of playmaking type game. And yeah, he's got to be able to hit some shots or teams aren't going to respect him. But when everyone else is hitting like this, it's enough. Now, speaking of other players, I already mentioned that the leading scorers were Seth Trimble and Ian Jackson off the bench. So you can imagine what I'm about to tell you is true before I even say it. Carolina's bench has been scoring so many points in this 6-game winning streak, right? Like, how often have we said in this show, this has happened in this 6-game winning streak? Well, they've had at least 24 points in each of the 6 games, and they blew past that in this one. Tonight, against Virginia Tech, was the most Carolina's bench has had in this entire stretch, and outscores Virginia Tech's bench 46-19. That's just silly. That's just wackadoodle, I like to say. Really, really crazy stuff. But when you're getting that kind of support from all over the place, not just from your starters. I mean, this is a game where Jalen Withers only had 5 points. Elliot Cadeau had 2. But you've got guys helping from the bench, and that is always going to be a big deal. Speaking of Jalen Withers, there was that very like awkward exchange with Coach Davis. I haven't gone back to watch Coach Davis's post game yet because I'm always trying to get in and do this. I haven't gone to see an interview with Jalen Withers to know what that issue was. So hopefully somebody's talked about it so we get a little more, and hopefully we can talk about that more on the full Wednesday show. But here's what I want to say about that moment. Did you notice, like this, we've talked so much this season about a lack of leadership. When Jalen Withers was frustrated about whatever he was frustrated about, Coach Davis, it set him off. He immediately called for Seth Trimble off the bench, and here comes Seth, and there goes Jay Witt. But there's Ven-Allen Lubin corralling Jalen Withers, calming him down, whatever it took. He was the man that stepped up in that moment. In the same way, like that was a very similar thing to something we saw like Harrison Ingram do a ton last year for Carolina, right? That's what Ven-Allen did in that moment. I thought that was critical and helpful to Carolina keeping their heads, cooler heads prevailing there. Now, we can't get out of here without at least one critique from me. So let me say, by the way, 24 assists on 33 field goals. Crazy. Carolina did simply too many turnovers in this game. They had 13. Multiple players committed multiple turnovers. It wasn't just Elliott with 3. RJ Davis actually had 3. He committed 2 before the first media timeout of the game. So I guess you say only 1 for RJ the rest of the game, but still. 2 for Ven-Allen Lubin, 2 for James Brown, which not, whatever, and 2 for Ian Jackson. So need to clean that up. Let's see how Virginia Tech did because they were a turnover-laden team. They had 12. And so that was nice. But what was interesting about their 12 is Carolina had 10 steals in this game. Carolina is not a team that gets up in steals very often. Let's look at points off turnovers. Carolina made more of it than Virginia Tech did, 20-14. So well done by the Tar Heels. All right, gang. We haven't talked any bubble here on the show. I'm going to save that for Wednesday because there's so many bubble games going on tonight, even as we record here. So I want to save that until we get a better scope of the view of the whole lay of the land of what's happening. But I will say that at worst, Carolina has held their ground here and just done what they've needed to continue to do. So anyway, I want to get over to your comments, questions, observations, and see what all it is that you guys had to say. And that's where we're headed in just a second. Ooh, baby. Okay. Puerto Rican vegan musician socialist. I always say one of my favorite names in all of Locked On Tar Heels dumb says, we better beat Duke or beat Clemson or Louisville in the ACC tournament. Otherwise, this year will be heartbreaking after how well we turned things around. Let me say something about this because I was doing some bracket looking earlier today. There are only 5 teams that qualify as a quad 1 win on a neutral right now. The Tar Heels are one of them, so take that out. The others are the 3 that Puerto Rican just named here: Duke, Clemson, and Louisville. But the other one is SMU. Right now, it appears that Carolina and SMU are kind of destined for one another in the ACC tournament. Carolina beat them at home, but SMU's not at home. You got to be top 30 for a quad 1 victory. At a neutral site, just top 50. So whether Carolina is the 5 or the 4, that's what I would love to see. If you're the 5, you get 1 bye, and then you're playing somebody coming out of having played previously, and then you would go play SMU, the 4 seed, the next day. If Carolina is the 4 seed, you have to hope like the Dickens that SMU wins and doesn't get upset so that you're playing a potential quad 1 game before you go and face Duke on Friday in a potential semifinal matchup. That to me is actually the ideal scenario because it's a quad 1 win and everybody's making such a big deal about the one quad 1 win. Well, your opportunities to get one in the ACC tournament are Duke, Louisville, Clemson, and SMU. I would like to take it from SMU. And I know that's not as valuable of a win as any of the other 3, but it's just about getting that quad 1 win. So that's what I'm watching for. Please, dear goodness, can we play SMU in the ACC tournament? That's what I'm looking for right now. Michael Riggs says, and somebody else had said this on one of the on YouTube comments on today's show. Magic number is 22 wins, ellipsis, I think. And Michael, I'd like to unpack this a little bit because I was thinking about this today too. Carolina now at 20 wins. You love that. Is great stuff. To get to 22 wins, Carolina would either need to beat Duke and win 1 in the ACC tournament, lose to Duke and win 2 in the ACC tournament is what we're basically looking at. I think if you beat Duke on Saturday, that might be enough, and 21 might be your magic number. If you don't beat Duke Saturday, I don't think that all is lost because of what Carolina has done in the 6-game stretch, but you better win a quad 1 game in the ACC tournament at that point. That's what we're talking about. So I think that's what we're looking at, is it's either 21 or 22, and it depends on who that next win or 2 wins is against. If it's Duke, I think 1 more is enough. If it's not Duke and Carolina loses on Saturday, it's got to be whomever you play in SMU, and then you get another crack at Duke if you can get past that. And so why not? We'll see what's up with that. I would love it. Let's keep looking here. Yes. You guys are so right. All of this stuff. Blanton Stamey kind of asks what we were just talking about, and this is a good way to put it. If we lose to Duke and are 20-12 and are the 4th seed in the ACC tournament, how many wins do we need in the tournament to feel good about getting in? Well, again, I'll say if you're the 4 seed, you get 1 game and then Duke. Unless there is a scenario where Clemson could still actually be the 1 seed, I believe, if I'm correct. But that would mean Carolina beats Duke on Saturday, and then that's a whole other scenario. I would say if Carolina is the 4 seed, the biggest hope we have is that SMU is the 5 and that they win on Wednesday. That's what Carolina needs to happen to me. That's what we're talking about. Okay, let's keep trucking here. More questions. The Nintendo. I was thinking about this too, Nintendo. Our guy Connor says, I really hope we didn't exhaust all our threes this game. We're going to need to shoot well if we want any chance of winning on Saturday. I feared that too, Connor, but my thought was the volume at which Carolina has been hitting them and the percentage at which they've been hitting them lately. Yes, here's a factor for Saturday is the emotion of senior night, right? Like that's a factor. The emotion of playing Duke, like as much as you say it, it just is what it is, and that's tough to deal with. And so I'm with you, but I would love it if Carolina could stretch out that Duke defense, make them come out. Because remember how massive Duke is. Then maybe you can get some driving lanes and get to the rim. All right, let's keep on trucking here. Coach Rob is in the chat. What's up, Coach Rob? He says, go Heels, folks. If you missed today's show, we talked about how Coach Rob and Milligan won their conference championship over the weekend on Saturday. It was a great game. By the way, the team they beat, Johnson, is my assistant's alma mater, so it made me even happier. Take that, Johnson. And now Thursday coming up will be the selection show for Coach Rob. Coach Rob will be with us on Friday's show, and so we'll unpack that more. Brother, congrats. So happy for you. Vaughn says we're up to 36 in KenPom. Has it refreshed even more? Because things always update throughout the night as it goes. Right now, it's still sitting at 37, so Carolina might have jumped and then fallen back. Mark Ellis has a question and says, gotta start Ian against Duke and let Elliott come off the bench. Put Drake on Cooper Flag to slow him down. Great win tonight. I hear this, Mark, but right now you got a great thing cooking, and the last thing you want to do is overthink yourself. I know there's the thought of like, well, if you bring Ian in fresh and at the beginning of the game, I hear that. But having 2 freshmen in the starting lineup in their first Duke home. Oh, actually, you know what, Mark? This is going to be a whole other conversation because it's senior night. And so you're going to have RJ Davis starting. You're going to have Jalen Withers starting, and you're going to have Ty Claude starting. So that is your 2, 4, and 5. And then my guess is in addition to that, you would have Elliott at the 1 and probably Drake still at the 3, unless coach wants to go with Ian for a little more offensive pop. With Ven-Allen coming off the bench. I think it'll be a quick trigger on getting Ty Ty Claude out of the game and getting the rest of the guys in. But I just don't think this is a game where you mess with something. You dance with the person that you brought, right? And I think right now this starting lineup is working so effectively. Heck, Ian coming off the bench was the leading scorer for Carolina in this game. So I hear you, Mark. Completely understand it, and that's good. Melinda Dolphin says, what is our new net rating? Well, this is a great question for Melinda to ask, and it's a great opportunity for me to share something, is that Ken Palm refreshes after each game. Like his algorithm, he has it set to where they go in and do all that. The net rankings refresh overnight. So we actually won't know the updated net ranking until we wake up tomorrow morning, Wednesday, and know where things are at. So Carolina, because of this margin of victory, because it's on the road, because of the efficiency with it, both offensively and defensively, Carolina should continue to climb in those rankings. And so there's that. And I see some folks have actually answered that in the chat. All right, let's see if we can find one or two more comments, questions, or whatever. I don't even know what this is about. Drew 1986 says, Joel Rubenstein, yes, shady. Isaac needs some social media branding. LOL. I didn't see what Joel said, but you guys hit me up. I don't even know what we're talking about there, but whatever. David Devane, this is a great question, says, Isaac, what spacing differences did you see in this game? It felt like the game was never in doubt. We played to our strengths with forcing turnovers and getting out in transition. Yes, let's mention that, by the way. The fast break points, I was going to save this, but since you brought it up, man, Carolina's transition was so fun. They lead the fast break points. You ready for this one, guys? 17-2. And when Carolina can force those and get out and run, you absolutely love it. In terms of the spacing differences, David, I think a big part of it is that because Carolina has been so effective from three lately, it's now part of the scouting report. This is no longer just a small sample size. If I'm John Shire, for example, and the Blue Devils prepping for Saturday, it's like, look, this is literally what I would say. This is not the same team we faced in Cameron 3-4 weeks ago, whatever it was. This team is playing with new resolve. They are bombing away from three efficiently and a lot. And so we got to get out on them. And then what that does, David and others who are wondering, is that's why you see Ven-Allen Lubin stepping up so much in scoring lately, because you got to, the defenders have to bunch out and honor the shot from beyond the arc. What does that do? It gives Ven-Allen Lubin a lot more space to operate. Man, that step through he had, like the pivot and that was a great spin. Was it Poteet? Milo Poteet? I can't remember, but man, what a great move from Ven-Allen. So I think that's part of the spacing. And that's part of the Elliott conversation that I want to have on Wednesday's show. But when RJ is running the point in this game, as I've been talking about a lot more lately, you got to respect almost everybody on the floor. When Elliott's out there, there's less good spacing because the defense can sag off, as well they should, right? He has not proven to consistently be able to do it. And so that's just part of it. Andrew Owens asks, how far away is our SMU win at home from becoming a quad one win? Bear with me, everybody. Let's look it up in real time. I believe, as I said earlier, a quad one win at home has to be top 30. SMU right now is 41st. So I don't, there's just not enough space for that to get back to a quad one. But I also feel good that it's not going to drop. They're not going to drop 10 spots outside the top 50. So that's why I'm like, Carolina really needs to get a shot at them in the ACC tournament. And there you go. Blue Buffalo 12 says, Isaac holding that baseball since the Diamond Heels are 13-0. Tar, he says, and I got your heels right here. Yeah, y'all. I don't know if you were keeping tabs on it. Carolina playing number 24, Coastal Carolina today, right before the Tar Heels started, went into extra innings and had a walk-off sack fly in the bottom of the 12th. I can't remember I'm pretty sure it was the 12th. I was flipping back and forth and so couldn't keep it straight. To be fair, Blue Buffalo, for those who are regulars, I'm holding a baseball literally all the time. It just, my hands get going and it just keeps me engaged like that. So absolutely love it. All right, guys. as I said, I promise you, I'm going to go through and look at the rest of your comments. If there's other questions, observations, things like that we need to get to, I will have that on the Wednesday show for us. I just want to get you out of here. It's getting late. We got to go see these other bubble games and how Carolina is hopefully warding off these other teams on the bubble here on night. All right, y'all. If you have not subscribed to the show on YouTube, man, now's the time to do it. We are closing in. We're like 50 away from 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Let's make it happen before the Duke game on Saturday. I said it off the top, but tomorrow we're going to have, for those of you that want to watch or listen to this back, we'll have Wednesday's full show, and we will have an episode with CBS Sports' Matt Norlander, one of their two main college basketball guys. Phenomenal interview, great conversation. And then on Thursday, Joe Tipton is joining me. Going to be a fun conversation about recruiting. That's his emphasis in what he does. It's Joe Tipton of Tipton Edits that puts out all the like top 5 announcements and those things. He wrote an article earlier this week talking about what Carolina needs to do in the portal this offseason, plus the quote from an anonymous ACC coach about Carolina's talent. So we got to ask about that. You know it. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders program, man, that's the way to go next level with this thing. One-on-one conversations with me. You get access to all of my stats and charts and data. If you're not in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, do that. That link is in the show notes as well. You guys, it is always a great day to be a Tar Heel. It's beat Duke time, baby. Let's make it happen on Saturday. Why not? This Tar Heels team is rolling. It will be an even greater day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow on the show, but until then, peace.